Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us this afternoon for the Perkins 5 Concentrator course webinar. I am Stephanie Deckard, the State Director of Career and Technical Education, and with me today is your Career Specialist, Tony Harrell. We will jump right into this and get started by reviewing the key points of this presentation. We have several topics to discuss today, which include the driving factors behind these changes and an overview of the criteria by which Concentrator courses were selected. We will also provide you with the recommendations and examples to help you with the implementation of the Perkins 5 Concentrator course sequences if students are opted in now, or for all students beginning with the 2023 graduating class, which is this year's 8th graders. For the question and answer session, we will ask that you email Tony Harrell directly to answer your questions. In July of 2018, the Strengthening Career and Technical Education for the 21st Century Act, also known as Perkins 5, was signed into law effective July 31st, 2019. The Perkins Act provides federal grant dollars to secondary and post-secondary eligible recipients who offer CTE programs of study. These dollars are intended to support program development and improvement, as well as for 29 other purposes. Among the many changes in Perkins 5 that was not mandated in Perkins 4 was a formal definition of a CTE concentrator. In Perkins 4, the definition was determined by each state. This is where Perkins 5 is different. Perkins 5 mandated all states to use the same definition of a concentrator, a student that completes 2 courses in a single program of study. A few months prior to July of 2018, Indiana had already determined new required options for students to graduate high school, known as graduation pathways. One bucket of these required options, the post-secondary readiness option, included the CTE concentrator. The State Board of Education adopted the state's Perkins 4 definition to define a concentrator as outlined in the Graduation Pathways Policy Guidance document, and as a student who earns 6 credits with a C average. Then Perkins 4 was reauthorized, becoming Perkins 5, and so the state had to change the concentrator definition to be in compliance because it was necessary to align the state's definition with the federal definition, a student who completes 2 courses in a single program of study. Perkins 5 went on to define a program of study, a coordinated, non-duplicative sequence of academic and technical content courses at the secondary and post-secondary level that incorporates challenging academic standards, addresses both academic and technical knowledge, including employability skills, is aligned with the needs of industries and the economy of the state, region, or local area, progresses in specificity, has multiple entry and exit points, culminates in the attainment of recognized post-secondary credential. During this process, the CTE Action Team, a subcommittee of the Governor's Workforce Cabinet, charged the DOE to further define which 2 courses would count and the criteria for which courses should be selected. The criteria for course selection were 1, that courses had to be beyond an introductory level. 2, the completion of the course sequence should represent that the student was employable or enrollable. As much as possible, courses were selected that were aligned to dual credits in order to meet this standard. And 3, collaborate with DWD, the Indiana Department of Workforce Development, to align courses to industry-recognized certifications. All students that are currently in high school are grandfathered under the Perkins 4 CTE pathway courses and the 6-credit definition of a CTE concentrator unless students are opted into Perkins 5 by the school. Next year's freshmen, the 2023 cohort, must follow the Perkins 5 list. So we recommend the following 2 approaches. We recommend that you use the 1920 school year as a transition year as a means to examine your CTE course inventory and determine where gaps exist instead of making a lot of choices or a lot of changes to course offerings. This would allow you to help current high school students complete their Perkins 4 pathways and provide you with additional time to decide which Perkins 5 pathways you will offer for the 2023 cohort. Second, we recommend that you place your focus on scheduling your 2023 cohort into either preparing for college and careers or an introductory course. So I'm now going to turn the presentation over to Tony, who will demonstrate where Concentrator courses can be found, as well as some implementation guidelines.
Both the Perkins 4 and the Perkins 5 CTE pathway courses can be found on the CTE page of the IDOE website. Once you reach the CTE page, you will want to select Career Pathways. You will then select Career and Technical Education Pathways under the Career Pathways. This should take you to a page where you will see the Perkins 4 pathways listed as the 2019 through 2022 cohort and Perkins 5 for the 2023 cohort. If you click on the CTE pathway courses approved for the 2023 cohort, you will then be taken to the Excel spreadsheet of the course sequences. There are 64 64 total pathways on the sheet. And we will be referring to this sheet as we go through the rest of the presentation, but we have tried to pull out examples for you, so it should not be necessary for you to have the sheet open in front of you. As you will note on the Perkins 5 list, there are some pathways that list multiple courses in either the Concentrator A column or the Concentrator B column. In these cases, students will only need to complete one course from each column. In the example that we have shown here, Principles of Business Management and Principles of Marketing are listed in Concentrator A column. Students completing this pathway would take one of these two courses along with the Entrepreneurship and the New Ventures capstone course. Another example from the list would be Computer Science. You will note there are several computer science courses listed in column B. In this case, students would need to take Computer Science 1 from Concentrator A column and one of the courses from Concentrator B. The prerequisites for each course were taken into consideration when developing the course sequences. Students must meet all required prerequisites when completing a Perkins 5 Concentrator sequence. We are currently exploring options to alleviate some of the hardships that were created by recent prerequisite changes required for Perkins 5. We hope to have an announcement or guidance on those options very soon. For example, the accounting and bookkeeping sequence requires Principles of Business Management and Advanced Accounting for the Concentrator course sequence. In order to complete this sequence, students would also need to complete Introduction to Accounting, as well as Principles of Business Management and Advanced Accounting, because Intro to Accounting is a required prerequisite for Advanced Accounting. The prerequisites also help us to know whether a student must take Concentrator A before they take Concentrator B. In the example presented, Principles of Business Management is listed as a required prerequisite in the course titles and descriptions for Administrative and Office Management. In this case, Principles of Business Management would have to be taken first. In some cases, there are no prerequisites listed for the two courses in a sequence. In these cases, students may take either course first. Our example here is for Horticulture Science and Landscape Management 1. They only have a recommended prereq of Introduction to Agriculture, Food, and Natural Resources. Therefore, either course could be taken first. In order to help students complete a sequence and/or to meet prerequisites, we are exploring the possibility of allowing concurrent enrollments. This would only be available in situations where the content of the courses is not scaffolded. Please contact the DOE Office of CTE if you would like to use this option. In order to ensure that standards are being met, the CT Action Team requested that the DOE not include the Work-Based Learning Capstone course as a Concentrator course. However, work-based learning opportunities are an important element of CTE in developing employability skills. In order to still provide these opportunities for schools, we encourage schools to embed work-based learning opportunities into their Level 2 and capstone courses. Some advantages to embedding these opportunities into other courses is students do not have to be paid, and the training plan can be developed with the course instructor to reinforce key content and skills covered in the class. You may also note that special topics courses were not included in the Concentrator course sequences. The decision to not include these courses was based on the same concerns as the WBL capstone course regarding what standards were being taught in the course. We will consider adding the special topics courses and other suggested additions that are proposed to us by June of 2019. Any additions made will be applicable to the 2023 cohort. These suggestions will be reviewed this summer. Please feel free to provide any suggestions for improving the Concentrator list to Tony Harrell at aharrell@doe.in.gov.
And I encourage you to continue to send your questions as you think of them. Continue to send us your suggestions. We want to make sure that we have strong programs of study, that we provide the right kind of technical assistance to you, and that also that you understand that your concerns are being heard. So again, we appreciate your time today and your willingness to participate in this webinar. And at this time, we will conclude the webinar. Have a great day.